Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. In this episode, we will try to cover as much as we can on the ongoing issues concerning the country, Sudan, whether external or internal. External about the participation of Sudan in the United Nations General Assembly, the 77th General Assembly, and about the suspension of Sudan in the African Union. That's why we are happy to host in this episode our friend, Associate Professor Sammani Hanoun. Welcome to this episode in Dialogue Horizon. It contains a lot of questions, so that I'm sure that you will be in a position to answer all of it.
Thanks for this opportunity and a special greeting to the viewer of Dialogue Horizons at Sudan TV. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Associate Professor Sammani Hanoun. First, let us start by a very important alarming fact, which is the suspension of Sudan's membership or Sudan activity and participation in the African Union right after the coup of 25th of October. Actually, the African Union on 27th of October 2021 suspended after 4 days of the coup the participation of Sudan and suspension of activities. First of all, let us tell us about most cases, not general, not only Sudan. What are the most important reasons that the African Union goes to the extreme of suspending the membership of any country?
Yeah, as a part of the general principle of African Union main charter, to prohibit any military coup in African countries, and this is an agreement signed by all African presidents a few years back. As a result of that commitment, the African Union immediately suspends the membership of any country that's subject to the military coup, like what happened in Egypt immediately after military coup, and in Sudan, and different examples from around Africa. You discover that African Union immediately announces the suspensions of the membership in the African Unions due to the military coup. What happened in Sudan? Actually, this is repeated experience in Africa, and immediately after October 25, the African Union announces the suspensions of Sudan membership in the African Union due to the military coup, or what described it at that time by military coup. So this is a routine practice exercised by the African Union whenever power changed by force, by the military forces in African countries. So this is can be later on considered like what happened in the case of Egypt. Later on, the African Union relaxed these decisions, and again Egypt joined the African Union. I think the same route now followed in case of Sudan, and the African Union is taking the track to relax the decision and to host Sudan again to the African Union.
So the main reason is that any takeover by the army from a democratic system, it's definitely, it suspends.
Yeah, this is
not like the United Nations, unlike the United Nations.
Yeah.
As you said, yes, in Egypt, they suspended Egypt for almost 13 months.
Yeah.
But after the general elections, which appointed, which brought Sisi, General Sisi, as a civilian, then they
leader
reinstate Egypt as full member. So, do you think that in the participation of General Burhan in the United Nations Assembly, 77th General Assembly, he tried to meet some of the African leaders who attended that meeting, including he talked to Musa Faki, the head of the Commission of the African Union. Do you think this will make any difference? Will it change the
definitely.
The decision?
Yeah,
will it be effective?
For sure.
Something in the statutes of the African Union?
Yeah, for sure, the participations of General Burhan in the UN Assembly or 77 meeting, that will result in some impacts globally and regionally and nationally as well. And this represents actually a new turning point in the history of military coup in Sudan, because simply most of the parties or the institutions in the world, they learn that participations of the president in the General Assembly of the UN, that will pave the way for future fruitful relations with international and regional institutions. So based on that roadmap and the new paradigm after participations in the UN, the African Union, actually the head of the commission, met the president during that time, and they shared the discussion about relaxing decisions on suspensions of Sudan membership in African Union. So I think this is a physical result and ultimate outcome of that meeting of the UN General Assembly, which is 77, resulted in these new consequences and new developments in relations with the African Union. So I think as a physical product and actually ultimate outcome, they expect that the African Union will relax the decision and will
Relax against its statutes. The statute is very clear about any political, any military regime. They are not supporting it.
Yeah.
So even Egypt after 13 months.
Yeah,
I don't think the meetings they're just diplomatic.
They cannot diplomatic, but there are some development after the military coup in 24 of October. Now the Sudanese military forces make very clear declaration that they withdraw from the political arena.
They will. Okay, that's something else.
So that is something new development actually, and that will also encourage the African Union to take a step towards Sudan, because this commitment by the military leaders to withdraw from the political arena, actually this is what required by the African Union. African Union encourage civil-led government in Sudan according to the constitutional document signed by the parties during the December Revolution. So based on the development after the 25 October and the full withdrawals of military forces from the political arena, that would result in some similar development by African Union in order to make a further step towards democracy in Sudan and civil democratic transformation.
So you mean, if I understood you well?
Yeah, I think this is a simultaneous step.
If I understood you well,
yes,
the African Union will change or avert the suspension on the condition that the civilian component, they come to a consensus, and the army, they fulfill their promise or pledges.
Yes.
Once an agreed upon government is formed, civilian government is formed, then the African Union will have no reason to continue on suspending the activity.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, that is what I mean. When the political or the civil components comes to agreements and they set a civil-led government in Sudan, there is no justification for African unions to continue the suspension of Sudan. So Sudan will recover its positions in African Union, and I think they are paving the way for this decision after the set of the civil-led government during the few months in the future.
Okay, that's good. That's so. We hope that things, unless things improve by the consensus, followed by formation of a government, civilian government, and the withdrawal of the army from the arena or from the scene by going back to the barracks, minding the business, its constitutional business as army of the country. So at that time, but do you think that people are near to this point? Consensus?
Full consensus, I think it is difficult.
Impossible.
Yeah, if it were not impossible, but it is difficult, and especially this high political congestion in Sudan. But we think that the majority of the civil force in Sudan can unite in order to set up the civil-led government. So we just talk about the majority, not consensus like what's said by many parties. I think the majority can be reached by the civil service in order to set the civil-led government. But we cannot imagine that. Yes,
expect a full.
difficult. It is difficult. Yeah.
Maybe we come to this later in the episode.
Yes.
But let us go back again to also the participation of General Burhan in United Nations. He met with the Secretary General, Guterres.
Yes.
And Guterres expressed that he is happy by the news that the army decided to withdraw completely from the political scene by going back to the barracks.
Yes.
And also he asked about the steps. What are the steps? Or he encouraged the president of the Supreme Council to take physical, practical steps towards achieving this withdrawal and towards the government. Do you think the meeting with the General Secretary was fruitful?
To some extent, I think this meeting by Antonio, the Secretary General of the UN, to some extent meet the same two hot issues: the withdrawals of the military forces from the political sense or political arena, and enhancing civil-led government in Sudan. These are two hot issues discussed by leaders during the meeting of the General Assembly of the UN. So Antonio again emphasized the strategic importance for civil-led government in Sudan, and again he emphasizes the strategic importance of withdrawal of the military forces from the political arena to give chance for civil-led development government in Sudan. So I think the meeting with the General Burhan in the UN especially tackled these two hot issues and by the Secretary General of the UN. So I think all, whether the African Union or the General Assembly of the UN, both of them, they are taking the track of enhancing withdrawal of the military forces from the political arena and paving the way for civil-led government. I think this has become a global and regional slogan raised by all institutions concerned with the Sudanese discourse.
Also, Antonio Guterres, he expressed his concern and with real concern about and alarmed by the speedy deterioration of the economic and security situation, especially the economic. And then when General Burhan asked him that immediately after the 25th of October 2021, every assistance, international assistance, stopped completely. So, and he asked him, Burhan asked him to do some steps or to effort to initiate again, reinitiate this assistance. Do you think the Secretary General of the United Nations, is he in a position to do anything?
I don't think they will give or relax the decision to suspend the financial assistance to the government, especially after the military coup. They cannot, unless the government fulfill the two necessary conditions: the full withdrawal from the political arena and the chance to set up a civil-led government in Sudan. These are two necessary conditions for any new cooperation with the outside world.
Yeah, this is very clear. So now you are saying that the ball is in our side.
Yeah,
the ball in our side.
Yes.
Nothing can be done unless we come to an agreement between ourselves.
Yes,
as long as the army will keep its pledge that they will withdraw. I think they are genuine about this step. They will withdraw.
Yes.
because what happened now actually in 1 year,
Yes.
the ruling is the army now, 1 year since October 2021.
24.
So they will not be interested to continue. I think they are genuine
Yeah.
in withdrawing, but the condition of a general consensus is impossible. They have to strike a balance
Yes.
and take a decision.
Yeah, I think what is very important today that civil force should unite and the ball in the playgrounds of the civil force. Civil force should unite and come to agreement in order to form the civil government in Sudan. I think to say a national consensus about this matter is difficult, but we can think about the majority of the civil force to set the government, because what is important today to set up the civil-led government as a requirement for any future support of international community or regional community in case of African Union. So we need to facilitate and accelerate the path through which we can set up the civil-led government in Sudan. Now the ball in the playground of the civil force. They have to accelerate and to work hard in order to announce the civil-led government as soon as possible in order to open doors for future cooperation with regional and international community.
But unfortunately, Professor Samman, unfortunately, the civil components are two blocks going in different directions. It's very difficult, extremely difficult to expect, just to expect that they will come to a point. Although some of the factions, the hardliners, some of the, like the Umma party, some of, they have started to understand the importance of coming to a consensus.
Yeah,
some of the FFC, the Freedom Forces,
yes,
Central, they
yes,
just started, but it's too late, don't you
My
think?
advice is to the civil forces, they have to relax ideology. I think main reason behind the dispersions of the civil forces, the fanatic ideologies of these parties. They have to give relax and to move into moderate position in order to set up the government, because most of the world today, from the UN up to the African Union to the Sudanese people, are awaiting the setup of the civil-led government. So they have to relax the ideologies. And I think one main reason behind failure of the civil force to come to consensus, the fanatic ideologies of these political parties and civil institutions in Sudan. So they have to give relax to these ideologies and to move into pragmatism in order to come into area of consensus and to send the national government that will pave the way for cooperations with the regional and international institutions.
So you are talking about ideologies.
Ideologies.
There are two. The communists and the
yeah.
Islamists are already, they are out. Not
The
the
two
picture.
extremists.
The two extremes.
Yeah, the left and the right.
All right.
Yeah, they are the core
But
reason.
not all the Islamic groups they work in the Salvation regime, the Islamic. Some, to be fair on them, some of them,
Yeah.
they were
Against.
against, and
Yeah.
they were subject to imprisonment
Yeah.
and harassment,
Yes.
and maybe torture to some extent.
Yeah, I
including the Dr. Later Turabi.
Yeah.
He spent behind bars
Yeah.
quite a long time, although he was the initiator of the Salvation system, the whole system,
Yeah.
but he was behind bars for quite a long time,
Yes.
and they formed this popular Congress Party. So the other factions,
Yes.
the FFC, they should not consider the popular Congress Party as an enemy.
Yeah.
It's an ally.
Yeah, as you know, we collapsed the Inqas regime, but we inherited extremism. It's still alive among the politicians. Needless to repeat that in order to set the government, we need to go moderate. We need to be more flexible with other parties with different ideologies. The extremists, whether leftist or rightist, they play very important role in current political congestion. The way we have to overlap both of them. And we have to take the moderate directions in order to build a united grouping of the moderate peoples. That is very important in order to set the government.
Yeah.
Extremists will never come to agreement. That extreme leftist or rightist cannot come to the agreement. It is impossible. The only way, you need to overlap them, to overtake them, in order to set the government that supported with the majority of the moderate parties in Sudan.
That's
This
good.
is, yeah.
So this reminds me of something very important in statistics, something they call the normal distribution curve.
Yeah.
Normal distribution curve, when you draw it,
Skewed.
it's like a bell.
Yes.
But when they come to analyze it,
Yes.
they take the left side and the 5%,
Yeah.
5% from each side.
Yeah.
These are two extremes.
Yes, yeah.
After this, they can get
The normal distribution.
conclusions.
Yeah. So now,
any consensus without
yes, normal
relaxing
distribution.
some of these, yes, it cannot.
Yeah.
It cannot.
So if you skew it to the rightist, you will be biased against others.
Against
If you skew it to the rightist, then again you will find
so it's difficult.
So you need normal distribution.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
That
Okay.
like you that bell shape.
That's bell shape, yeah.
Yeah.
Normal distribution. Okay, thank you. Okay, let us go to the other thing which is connected to this.
Yes.
General Burhan, on his way back to Khartoum, he stopped at Cairo and he met with
President Sisi.
General Sisi, President Sisi. But do you think first of all, why Egypt is not playing any clear role? Maybe clandestine, maybe hidden role, maybe, I'm not sure. But now we see that America is concerned at trying to broker deals. We see the United Nations, we see the African Union, the IGAD, everybody. But Egypt is the nearest country and the most connected country to Sudan. Why its attitude in this Sudan crisis, Sudan now on the verge of a collapse, still Egypt is not concerned, or what? Why
I
Egypt?
think Egypt felt in the case of Sudanese people to provide an advices to the president, because the position is very complicated in Sudan, not like Egypt. Egypt, there are institutions in Egypt, and there is a country with descriptions. You can easily deal with this institution. In case of Sudan, the position is totally different. The institutions in Sudan are totally collapsed during the fall or the collapse regime. Now you have some leaders, whether in military or in civil, you deal with individuals, not with the institution. So the experience of Egypt cannot be implemented in Sudan. This is what makes
No, not the experience. I mean not the
Yes,
experience.
yes.
I mean, why Egypt? As we all know,
Man, I'm going
Egypt-
to the rally of presidency, how
Yes.
to reach the president.
Actually,
Experience there.
Egypt had influence on most of the countries on the area.
Yeah.
Whether a change, the coup, whether a government, whether a president. They have, in Sudan, they played important role, and nobody can deny this. Most of the changes which happen in Sudan, whether with military coups or whether political democratic systems, Egypt has influence, has some role they played. But this time, Egypt is leaving this completely to the regional and international community.
And I don't agree with this point.
Is it intervening?
No, the influence of Egypt politically affected in Sudan, not like before, especially after December, and especially during this current position in Sudan. The influence of Egypt are negatively affected because of new players in the Sudanese and the political arena in Sudan. The armed movements who share the power, the new forces share the power in Sudan. This is not in agreement with the Egyptian role in Sudan. And let us talk frankly what happened in the north when people they blocked the seaports for export, and the people or community of December Revolution not appreciate the effort of Egypt like before. So there are some counter arguments by this movement, and the influence of Egypt now dramatically declined in Sudan, not like before December revolution. So this is why the leadership felt to give any advices to the president in order to support or to pave the way for the same change in Egypt, because December revolution is different from the Egyptian revolutions. For that reasons, I think they were puzzled about how to deal with this very complicated position. No any reshitter can address the position. So the position is very complicated. And the influence of Egypt not appreciated by some Sudanese people because of historical relation. You know, Egypt was very close to the colonial power for many history. Now the development of social awareness among Sudanese people and the new structure of the government in Sudan, that will not serve any role for the Egypt. But under all cases, Egypt is one of the most close countries to the Sudan, and it has very strong ties with Sudan. It's the people of Sudan, and so there are so many ties that link Egypt to Sudan. But the influence in the decision making is declined compared with the history of Egypt in Sudan. So this is a turning point. Also, one a pending file of Renaissance Dam. This is again issue also that up to now they were failed to solve the matter, and Ethiopian leadership, they already started, they fill the dam, and Egypt was and Sudan together, they were felt to stop filling the dam or Renaissance dams. So many files were the Egyptians are unhappy with these results. Actually, this is a disappointing result to the leadership. So Sudan failed to support the Egypt in this special file. So for that reason, I don't think the president will be happy with the current positions in Sudan, because totally something going.
But yes, different. I agree with you. But he has some good relation with General Burhan himself.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Also the issue of the GERD, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, is one of the issues. But now Egypt started not paying attention to this, because now it's becoming a de facto.
Disappointed, actually.
Disappointed not by the Sudanese, by the Ethiopians. The adamant stance of the Ethiopians to build and to start generating power.
Yeah.
And the Ethiopians are saying that we are not definitely going to touch a cubic meter of the quota of going to Egypt or Sudan, because this is not for irrigation. The dam is not for irrigation. Dam for power generation. Which means water comes from this side, goes the same water from the other side. In this process, from this side to this side, power is generated. So in this, that's why the Ethiopians are clever, and they are adamant. They did nothing wrong to make full advantage of one of their important resources.
The Ethiopians, they win the marathon actually at the end of the day, and they send their message to the international community that we are not going to take a single cubic meter of water. Yeah, we are.
But we are utilizing this is by the way, Ethiopia, they call it the water tower.
Yeah.
Water tower means this is the water tower. They cannot use it in agriculture.
Yeah, definitely.
No way.
Yes.
So it's one of the resources, very dear, important resources in the power.
Yes.
So, okay, they have the potential to produce, as far as I know, more than 45,000 megawatt.
Yeah.
The GERD, this Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, is only 6,000.
Yes.
But still they have a potential of about 45,000 megawatt. If you convert it to money, if they sell it, it is a real resources
to Ethiopia.
So Sudan cannot side by Egypt.
Sudan now is talking in favor of Egypt in order to face the position with
But if we go back to Dr. Sabah, it's very important, because everybody is talking about why the role of Egypt this time. Now Sudan is in a very most critical time. Either they are doing something clandestine, hidden, which people don't know because they have very, very effective and intelligence. or they are indifferent, but I don't think they will be indifferent about anything happening to Sudan because they are very much concerned
Yeah.
and they are afraid of any collapse of Sudan.
Yeah.
If it goes
Disappointing decision, the withdrawal of military forces from political arena. Egypt, for long history, uh, put more emphasis on participation of military forces in the political arena in
yeah,
order to influence the decision making in Sudan.
where in Sudan or in
Here in Sudan
yes,
especially,
yes.
through the military force. Now one of the strategic partner of Egypt withdraw from the political arena. So there is, what is the benefit to support them? See, Egypt support them in order to capture the decision and to influence the decision. Now the decision will go to the civil. And Egypt, you have to play a new role.
But
And
they
to
never
make,
they never trust civilians. Egyptians,
yeah.
they never trusted
They
the civilians.
never trust a civilian, but again, they will take another disappointing decisions. If they fail to deal with the civil-led government, the Egyptian interest will be negatively affected, definitely. So they have to see a way in order to deal with the current position. They failed to stop the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. This is one disappointing issue. The second, the strategic partner withdrew from the decision-making process in Sudan. So all results are negative if you analyze them, not in favor of Egypt. Most influx of Sudanese migrated to Egypt that will make overpopulation to the service in Egypt. So some now Egyptians are complaining from the influx of migrants to the Egypt. So again, if they come to make a rational evaluation to this relation, the Egyptian will fail without gains. And they lost most of their expected gains from this relation. So this is why they are very disappointing. And even they failed to give any advices in order to support their partner in Sudan. You know? And they stand puzzled.
They gave up, you
They
think?
gave up, yeah. They have to, at all my advices, they have to deal with the civil-led government. This is a global trend in Sudan. They have to go to the resistance committee and to deal from the community.
That's why
To change the strategy.
it's difficult for them to do that with civilians.
Yeah.
Egypt shines well.
Yeah, and one very important advice is to Egyptians, they have to change the file from the security to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is our advice to them. Sudanese people now in a position of awareness, position of change, social change, they have to make total change to their philosophy to deal with Sudan. This is very important to our neighbor and our friend and our people in Egypt. They have to deal through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not through the intelligence. They have to change the way to deal, because they need to deal with the community. They need to deal with the civil government, which is completely different from the old relations. So they have to make a new paradigm, how to deal with the new Sudan, which is completely different from old Sudan.
This is very interesting. Okay, okay. We covered this. The first part of the episode, which is the political. Maybe if we have time, we come back to what we expect or you expect on the coming days before the 25th of October. October starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this will come later maybe. But let's go back to the internal affairs. Now, everybody knows that Sudan is economically in deep trouble. Any financial aid, any assistance is completely stopped by the international community. Not only the international community, even the rich Gulf countries, they also followed suit with the international community, and they stopped any assistance to Sudan. So the situation is very dangerous and very dreadful. You can't tell what will happen. Among this difficult situation, Sudan these days is witnessing strikes.
Yeah.
Not political, this time definitely professional, not strikes of employees.
Professional
Like the
associations.
what happened in last week in the
Electricity.
they almost crippled the country by the strike
Yes.
because they are asking for
Increasing
adjustment
salaries.
in the payment.
Yeah.
You as an economist, how can any government face a situation like this? What can they do? Now they conceded to the electrical employees. I think they can just it by having a tip increase, a slight increase in the bill of the electricity. This can adjust or can pay off the incremental the increase in the salaries. But what about other sectors? Other will definitely now. We have people are complaining and they are threatening that they go to strike. As an economist, what is the best solution to a situation like this?
Before my judgment about the way out from this economic tightness and bottlenecks, just let me to flash back the history. In several interviews held in Dialogue Horizon, we make very exclusive statement that increasing salary in the economy will let the government to fall in a vicious circle. Increasing salaries, the prices will increase in market, and this is an endless marathon. At the end of the day, the government will fail, and the inflation will cover all sectors in the economy. So this is a wrong decision. Since Al-Badawi and up to date, Dr. Jibril, today, we are facing the same repeated story of increasing salaries in order to match the economic tightness and increasing cost of living for employees in the economy. And this is strategically wrong decisions. I talked several times, we need to address the value of the national currency. Given that we have the resources enough to appreciate the national currency, we're producing the gold, we can change the currency in order to retract money to the financial sector, to the banks and other financial institutions, in order to be controlled by central bank. We can take many monetary and fiscal decisions in order to pave the way for stability in the country. But unfortunately, we are taking the most short and vertical way by increasing salaries to the employees and the professional associations. This is an endless story. It will continue. After electricity, then we move to the water. After water, we move to the teachers. After teacher, we go into the handicrafts. From there, and health sectors.
Education.
And all people now organize themselves in order to get in a strike against government in order to increase the salary. This is an endless story with zero result.
So what is the solution?
The way out now.
The way out, you said to enhance the value of the national currency.
Enhancing, how? This is through appreciating the value of national currency through package of policies. Number one, we have to address the production in the economy, exports. We have to link national currency to the gold because we are main producer of gold in Sudan. We need to change the currency in order to retract all resources. Monetary policies. Governor of central bank should set package of policies in order to address the position. Always we are complaining. Where is the governor of central bank in this financial panic? Where is the leaders of the central bank in this economic tightness? This is an exclusive role to be played by the governors of central bank should address the problem, should make policies, monetary policies, in order to control the economy. Now economy facing inflation, facing unemployment, facing a slowdown in GDP. Where is the governor of central bank? You have to address the problem. And he made the roadmap how to recover the deteriorated position in the monetary sectors. So they failed. In order to solve this bottleneck, our advice is to the economic sectors in the government. They have to transfer government from tax collector to investor. Government should move to be investor. Invest in railways, development of railways, in the river transport, in tourism, in hotel, in education, in medicine, in different sector. Government should transfer into investor, not as a tax collector. That harmful to the economy, harm to the production, and also increase the complaints of the different sectors in the economy. So we can make total transformation of philosophy or economic philosophy of the government from tax collector into investor, to put more money in strategic project like railways, like river transport, like education, health, tourism. Different investment can be handled by government in order to maximize the revenues. That's actually mining sector, like what happened with the mineral resource sectors also. They can invest in these sectors. So government should change the philosophy to move as investor, not taxpayer. Taxpayer is a humble alternative in the economy. Although economy is a science of alternative, but the increasing taxes of damaging consequence in the economy, increase inflation, increase bargaining of the trade unions and the professional in the economy. Again, you felt in what described it by Rudolf Roden, the father of development, as a vicious circle. You will never find any solution unless you are increasing salaries in the economy. Very humble suggestion, very humble alternative in the economy. So our advices to the government should stop increasing salary in the economy for all sectors in the economy. And they have to shift to work to appreciate the value of national currency. Number one, you need to change the currency in the economy. You need to retract money in the hand of public. If you have the monetary, for example, money supply equals C plus R, currency in the hand of public plus reserves in bank, then the only 20% of total money supply in banks. About 80% of money supply in the hand of public, in the gold, in different sectors outside the banking system. By changing currency, we can retract all money to the central bank and we control money by central bank. Then we have to develop monetary policy. How we can address the inflation in the economy, how we can finance the development project in the economy, how we can appreciate the national, the value of the national currency. Unless we take this aggressive decision by the monetary authority in the state, we again face a very deteriorated economic tightness like what happened in Sudan today. So this is my advice.
So you are advised that increasing salaries will not solve the problem, but it will aggravate the situation.
Yeah, it will magnify the problem. Actually.
The macroeconomics,
like a snowball.
Yeah. So this is the very good advice, but it takes time to enhance and to give strength to the national currency, because you are talking about export. To increase the export.
Export, and what is important and easiest way, you can change the currency.
Change the currency, yes, okay.
Yes.
What that will be the effect? It will attract, okay.
Yeah.
The mass outside the banking
Yes,
system.
you can attract to the bank in order to be controlled by central bank.
Then you don't give any person any amount he wants.
You can make also financial market in the economy. Still now, you don't have financial market in the economy in order to finance a project. For example, money markets. So create market for financing the development project. Most of banks today are insolvent. So bank cannot meet the withdrawal by customers. That will create problem actually.
So you change the currency, then you attract the money.
Money to the banks.
Will be forced to, and you don't give it back to them?
No, when you put the money under the control of central bank, then you develop your monetary policy. Your monetary policy release money according to the needs of the economy in order to avoid inflation.
Yes.
And at the same time, we'll study how to link money to the gold in order to appreciate the value of national currencies. This is what I mean.
To link it to the
To
gold,
link
yes.
it to the
Maybe the
gold.
viewers, they don't know. How can
Yeah,
physically?
the currency to be partially covered by gold. Let us say this is an old monetary system, and
Yes,
it's
I know.
standard
We
use in the world.
by the
We
gold.
can just cover the 1 Sudanese pound by only 20%. Let us say that in the history of Sudan, this practice is well known. Before, always they make evaluations of the Sudanese pound in terms of gold.
Gold, yes.
Yeah. So now we can make these equations. We can say 1 pound of Sudanese pound say equal 2.02 gram of gold.
Yeah.
If you want to exchange your money into gold, that will be possible. Let us say I have 1 million
So you
Sudanese
have to
pound.
link
You can withdraw in terms of gold.
You have to link it with the gold.
Yeah, you link it with the gold. Let us say by only 10% or 20%, that will recover the credibility of the currency in all market in the world. And you are main producer of gold. You can build reserve in central bank and link your national currency to the gold after changing the currency and controlled by central bank.
Okay, but Professor, we have few minutes, about 5 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Still, I have a very important question about some of the people who work in Sudan in the finance sector. They see that they think that the stoppage of the financial assistance from the international community, it has two roles. One is near, and the other in the long run.
Yeah.
The near effect of this is actually because the humanitarian needs will be affected,
Yes.
and others reported that the cash paid by the community. The long term, it affects the development. So can you tell us about the effect, the long term and the short term effect of the stopping of assistance to Sudan by the international community? We have about 3 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Foreign aid play very important role in poverty alleviations and eradication of poverty in the economy. And one of practical means used by government in order to support vulnerable group in the community. But the 100% or what we dependency on this foreign aid sometimes help or harm the development effort in local communities, because people used to depend or 100% depend on assistance and depends on foreign aid. So that will harm productivity of worker and harm the production at the end of the day. I do appreciate the need for foreign aid, but I think the most important, we have to rely on our local or own resources. So the budget should be designed according to the own resources. The short-term impact, definitely that will harm the poor people in the society. Like what happened, the suspensions of Samarat program in Sudan definitely affected the some poor classes in the society and that used to receive this support from international community. In the long run, the development effort will be also affected by the suspensions of fund or financial assistance to these development projects in the country. But definitely, again, one gains that can be hunted by stopping the foreign subsidy or foreign aid, that they will build the self capacity of the economy. People 100% rely on their own resources. So that will also make a new way for development that 100% rely on local resources. So we strongly encourage government to pay more attention to the management of the local resources and to reduce dependency on foreign aid.
Okay, thank you very much, Associate Professor Sammani Hanoun. I've been with us. We covered different subjects, political and financial. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last hour or so. We hope to see you next week in another dialogue horizon with another topic. Thank you and bye.